Eval Health is an app platform for clinicians and researchers to create, share, and deploy clinical apps. To learn more, meet us at eval.health and click Learn. Hi, this is Jennifer Glenn, Chief Medical Officer with Eval Health, and I'm going to walk you through how to create a very basic decision tree app. And we're going to start with a very simple example to introduce you to some very basic features. But after this video, you'll be on your way to exploring more advanced features. So let's take a look at the final product so you have some context around what we're going to be doing. So in the example that you see here, we're going to build an app called Yoga for Pain Management. So we'll be creating a title, and we'll also be putting a description in about what our app is all about. Additionally, we'll be adding in some instructions so you know how to do that. And what's really neat about instructions is that it follows the user through the entire app as they answer the questions. We're going to then create 2 questions and a few results. So you will notice these 2 questions, and then at the end will come a summary of instructions to include a couple videos for the user. So that's what we're going to build. So let's get started. And the first place to go would be your library, and to click on the New App button. And you are now in the app builder feature, and you can tell by the green bar at the top. And the first thing that we need to do is build an app shell. And so on the right hand side are several fields that we'll need to complete to do that. So we'll start by adding a title. You'll notice that a slug automatically is generated right underneath the title. And then let's go ahead and add a short description. So we have our description, and then the next field is just asking us how we want the questions to appear. And there are 2 ways, section by section or question by question. Section by section is building several questions under a section, and all of those questions will appear at the same time. And the question by question is 1 question at a time will appear. And that's what we're going to do for this decision tree. As I mentioned, there is an opportunity to add instructions that will stay with the user as they answer questions. So I've gone ahead and added that text in, and then simply click Create Evaluation. What I like to do is to go ahead and click that Save button right away, and it just populates another feature that you'll see on the top right called errors, and that's a really neat built-in feature, and we'll cover that in another video. You'll also notice that the Publish button appears, and obviously that'll be helpful when we're done to codify our app and put it out there either publicly or privately. You'll also see the Edit button. So we're going to need to click on Edit to get back in here and to start building our questions. We're going to start by building 2 questions, and there's 2 ways to do that. You can click on New Question here to the left, but you also have a few tabs in the upper right. You have Sections, and this is where you can build a section and add questions to each section. And there's also a Questions tab, so you can also click on New Question here. And you have a title, and this is going to be where I'm going to put my first question. Where are you having the most pain? It's automatically going to go into a default section, which you can see on the left. I can change that by going to the Sections tab and creating a title. I can add a description. I can even add media to that section. But for this simple example, we'll just stick with the default section. Next is the input format, and you have a couple choices here, and we're going to do just 1 choice. So for this question, the user can only select one choice. I'm going to go ahead and add a description. This description will display right below the question, and it's optional. And next we're going to start adding choices that will go under this question. But first, you do have the option to align these choices either horizontally, which is default, or vertically. Next, click choice. And there are a few choices. The first one is neck. I don't need a formula value. We don't need calculations for this app. We do have other videos that talk about that, so check those out. And we don't need a visibility rule. It is always visible, this question is. For decision trees, the first question is always visible by default. So let's create our choice. You'll notice that it appears under choices. We're going to add another one. As you can see, we have our 3 choices for our question. And we're ready to add a second question. This time I'll click on the new question on the left. I'm adding my title. The input is going to be selection of only one choice. I'm going to skip the description for this one. I like to align vertically, and let's create our choices. So we have our second question, and an important thing to note below is this visibility when, and that it's never visible. So we need to program the order of the questions that they should appear. So for the second question, we'll need to add a new rule. So click on that, and you will have a source library. And the source library are all the questions, sections, choices, and results that you've created so far. So you'll be able to pick any one of those to trigger when this question will appear. So for the second question to appear, we want it to appear after the first question. So I'm going to select that first question. So our second question will be visible when or after the first question. And then we simply click apply. So we have set up a visibility rule as to when the second question will appear. And you'll want to do that with any other question that you would create. So we're ready to start adding results. And it's just like when we added questions. So you have the option on the left to click new results, which we'll do, and it brings open on the right side a detail window for us to begin. And for this result, it's going to be yoga poses for back pain. So if the user selects back as to where they're having the pain, this is the result that will open up for them. The format is going to be information, and in this decision tree, that is the type of result that we're going to provide versus a formula, which opens up another feature, and those are covered in another video. Next, I'm going to add a description or the information that I want the user to see. And that's 3 poses that they can do to treat back pain. I also have the option to add some media, and that's actually very simple. I'll add the title, and this is going to be a YouTube video. You also have the option to upload images. Of course, you want to give attribution. And lastly, to provide the YouTube link, and you'll notice that is uploading the video. There are also 3 items that you want to review and comply with. That includes copyright and privacy regulations. And there is also an optional caption right above that you could also add. I'll do that for this example, and then create media. And you'll notice that the title of my video, Cat Cow, is now present. I'm going to skip scenario test for a moment and jump down to the visibility rule. So we'll want to set that similar to our question, basically programming when this particular result will appear. So you'll see the same window opening up. Here's our result, yoga poses for back pain. We're going to tap into this source library and select when we want this to appear. So when the user selects back for that first question, we're going to want this result to appear. So click apply, and let's click save. And if you want to review, on the left-hand side, click this drop down and you can see our title, you can see the video, and you can see the information that we've posted, as well as our caption and also where this is coming from, so citing the video as well. So next we can then do a scenario test, and that's testing to see if what we set up actually works. So click new test, just add a title, and what you'll notice is a series of questions that we've already created will auto-populate, and so we can test this out. So let's click back pain for our first question. It is not dependent on the second based on how we have it set up. So it really wouldn't matter how we answer the second question, but as you can see, our test has passed and it will trigger the result, yoga poses for back pain. Click apply, and if we go back, you'll notice we have a green check under scenario tests for back pain. So I'm going to click save and click the X and go back to the player and inspect our work. So as you can see, similar to what I demonstrated at the very beginning, is we've got our title, Yoga for Pain Management. We have our description, our instructions, and our first question. So I'm going to answer that back, and then yes. And now you see the first result, the video and the information, as well as the attribution. If you'd like to learn more about these features and other advanced features, check out our other videos that we have posted.